The Law of One, Session 105, October 19, 1983.
105.0 RA, I am Ra. I greet you, my friends, in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. We communicate now.
105.1 Questioner. Could you first please give me the condition of the instrument?
I am Ra. The vital energies of this instrument are in a much more biased state than the previous asking, with the faculties of will and faith having regained their prominent place in this entity's existence and balance. The physical deficit continues.
105.2 Questioner. Sorry that we have to ask so many maintenance questions. We seem to be in a confused condition now with respect to our abilities to continue in the direction we wish to with questioning on the archetypical mind. I feel it necessary to ask what the cause of the symmetrical welt on the instrument's back is. And is there anything further that we can do to heal the instruments of any conditions, including these welts or their cause?
I am Ra. The welting is a symptom of that which has been a prolonged psychic greeting. The opportunity for this entity to experience massive allergic reaction from streptococcal and staphylococcal viruses has been offered in hopes that this entity would wish to leave the incarnation. The previous occurrence of this state of the mind complex occurring upon, in your time numbering system, the 9th month, the 12th day, of your present planetary solar revolution caught your 5th density companion unprepared. The entity is now prepared. There have been 2 instances wherein this entity could have started the reaction since the first opportunity was missed. Firstly, the opportunity to separate self from other self in connection with the choosing of an house. Secondly, the possible vision of self separated from other self in regard to the dissolving of mundane bonds concerning the leaving of this dwelling. Both opportunities were met by this entity with a refusal to separate self from other self, with further work also upon the indigo ray level concerning the avoidance of martyrdom while maintaining unity in love. Thusly, this instrument has had its immunal defenses breached and its lymphatic system involved in the invasion of these viri. You may see some merit in a purging of the instrument's yellow ray chemical body in order to more quickly aid the weakened body complex in its attempt to remove these substances. Techniques include therapeutic enemas or colonics, the sauna once or twice in a day, and the use of vigorous rubbing of the integument for the period of approximately 7 of your diurnal periods. We speak not of diet, not because it might not aid, but because this entity ingests small quantities of any substance and is already avoiding certain substances, notably fresh milk and oil.
105.3 Questioner. Is there any particular place the integument should be vigorously rubbed?
I am Ra. No.
105.4 Questioner. Could you please tell me what caused Jim's kidney problem to return, and what could be done to heal it?
I am Ra. The entity, Jim, determined that it would cleanse itself and thus would spend time/space and space/time in pursuit and contemplation of perfection. The dedication to this working was intensified until the mind/body/spirit complex rang in harmony with this intention. The entity did not grasp the literal way in which metaphysical intentions are translated by the body complex of one working in utter unity of purpose. The entity began the period of prayer, fasting, penitence, and rejoicing. The body complex, which was not yet fully recovered from the nephrotic syndrome, began to systematically cleanse each organ, sending all the detritus that was not perfect through kidneys which were not given enough liquid to dilute the toxins being released. The toxins stayed with the body complex and reactivated a purely physical illness. There is no metaphysical portion in this relapse. The healing is taking place in manifestation of an affirmation of body complex health which, barring untoward circumstance, shall be completely efficacious.
105.5 Questioner. Is any consideration of the appropriateness of the house at Lake Lanier, which we intend to move to, or special preparation other than that planned advisable?
I am Ra. We believe you have queried obliquely. Please requery.
105.6 Questioner. We plan to cleanse the property at the Lake Lanier location using the techniques prescribed by Ra in earlier sessions having to do with salt 36 hours, etc. I would like to know if this is sufficient, or if there is any salient problem with respect to moving to that house that Ra could advise upon at this time, please.
I am Ra. The cleansing of the dwelling of which you speak need be only 3 nights and 2 days. This dwelling is benign. The techniques are acceptable. We find 3 areas in which the use of garlic as previously described would be beneficial. Firstly, the bunk bedroom, below the top sleeping pallet. Secondly, the exterior of the dwelling facing the road and centering about the small rocks approximately 2/3 of the length of the dwelling from the driveway side. Thirdly, there is the matter of the boathouse. We suggest weekly cleansings of that area with garlic, the cut onion, and the walking of a light-filled perimeter. The garlic and onion, renewed weekly, should remain permanently hung, suspended from string or wire between workings.
105.7 Questioner. Just so I don't make a mistake in interpreting your directions with respect to the second area outside the house, could you give me a distance and magnetic compass heading from, say, the exact center of the dwelling to that position?
I am Ra. We may only be approximate but would suggest a distance of 37 feet, a magnetic heading of 84 to 92 degrees.
105.8 Questioner. I know it's unimportant for our purposes, but from a philosophical point of view, I don't want to do anything to upset the law of confusion. So don't feel that it is necessary to answer this. But I was wondering what the condition was that created the necessity for such continual cleansing of the boathouse.
I am Ra. The intent is to create a perimeter within which the apiary denizens will not find it necessary to sting and indeed will not find it promising to inhabit.
105.9 Questioner. Are you speaking of bees or wasps or creatures of that type?
I am Ra. That is so.
105.10 Questioner. Are Jim's plans and ritual for deconsecrating this dwelling sufficient, or should something be added or changed?
I am Ra. No change is necessary. The points necessary to be included in consecration or deconsecration of a place are covered. We may suggest that each second density, woody plant which you have invested during your tenancy within this dwelling be thanked and blessed.
105.11 Questioner. Is there any other suggestion that Ra could make with respect to any part of this move that is planned? And will we have any problems at all in contacting Ra in the new dwelling? And if so, would Ra tell us about those and what we could do to alleviate any problems in contacting Ra in the new location?
I am Ra. We weigh this answer carefully, for it comes close to abrogation of free will, but find the proximity acceptable due to this instrument's determination to be of service to the one infinite Creator regardless of personal circumstance. Any physical aid upon the part of the instrument in the packing and unpacking will activate those allergic reactions lying dormant for the most part at this time. This entity is allergic to those items which are unavoidable in transitions within your third density illusion, that is, dust, mildew, etc. The one known as Bob will be of aid in this regard. The scribe should take care also to imbibe a doubled quantity of liquids in order that any allergically caused toxins may be flushed from the body complex. There is no difficulty in resuming contact through this tuned instrument with the social memory complex, Ra, in the chosen dwelling, or, indeed, in any place whatsoever once physical and metaphysical cleansing has been accomplished.
105.12 Questioner. I have come to the conclusion that the meaning of the hawk that we had about a year ago when we started to move the first time had to do with the non-benign nature, in the metaphysical sense, of the house which I had picked for the move. If it isn't a problem with the law of confusion, I think that it'd be philosophically interesting to know if I am correct with respect to that.
I am Ra. What bird comes to affirm for Ra? What bird would be chosen to warn? We ask the questioner to ponder these queries.
105.13 Questioner. We have been, you might say, experimentally determining a lot of things about the body, the next portion of the tarot, and have been experiencing some of the feedback effects, I might say, between the mind and the body. I sense from everything that we have done so far with respect to these effects that the great value of the third density yellow ray body at this time is as a device that feeds back catalyst to a mind to create the polarization. I would say that this is the major value of the third density body here, and would ask Ra if initially, when the mind/body/spirit, not the mind/body/spirit complex, but the mind/body/spirit was designed for third density experience, if this was the major use of the yellow ray body, and if not, what was the purpose of the yellow ray body?
I am Ra. The description which began your query is suitable for the function of the mind/body/spirit or the mind/body/spirit complex. The position in creation of physical manifestation changed not one whit when the veil of forgetting was dropped.
105.14 Questioner. Then the yellow ray body, from the very beginning, was designed as what Ra has called an athanor for the mind. A device, you might say, to accelerate the evolution of the mind. Is this correct?
I am Ra. It is perhaps more accurate to note that the yellow ray, physical vehicle, is a necessity without which the mind/body/spirit complex cannot pursue evolution at any pace.
105.15 Questioner. Then you are saying that the evolution of that portion of the individual that is not yellow ray is not possible without the clothing at intervals in the yellow ray body. Is this correct?
I am Ra. No.
105.16 Questioner. Would you clear up my thinking on that? I didn't quite understand your statement.
I am Ra. Each mind/body/spirit or mind/body/spirit complex has an existence simultaneous with that of creation. It is not dependent upon any physical vehicle. However, in order to evolve, change, learn, and manifest the Creator, the physical vehicles appropriate to each density are necessary. Your query implied that physical vehicles accelerated growth. The more accurate description is that they permit growth.
105.17 Questioner. Now, as an example, I would like to take the description of a disease or bodily malfunction prior to the veil and compare it to that after the veil. Let us assume that the conditions that Jim, for instance, experienced with respect to his kidney malfunction had been an experience that occurred prior to the veil. Would this experience have occurred prior to the veil? Would it have been different? And if so, how?
I am Ra. The anger of separation is impossible without the veil. The lack of awareness of the body's need for liquid is unlikely without the veil. The decision to contemplate perfection in discipline is quite improbable without the veil.
105.18 Questioner. Now, I would like to then examine a sample, shall we say, bodily decision prior to the veil and how it would affect the mind. Could Ra give an example of that, please?
I am Ra. This general area has been covered. We shall recapitulate here. The patterns of illness, disease, and death are a benignant domain within the plan of incarnational experience. As such, some healing would occur by decision of mind/body/spirits, and incarnations were experienced with the normal ending of illness to death, accepted as such, since without the veil it is clear that the mind/body/spirit continues. Thusly, the experiences, both good and bad, or joyful and sad, of the mind/body/spirit before veiling would be pale, without vibrancy or the keen edge of interest that such brings in the post-veiling mind/body/spirit complex.
105.19 Questioner. At the end of an incarnation, before veiling, did the entity appear physically to have aged? Say, like entities at the normal end of incarnation in our present illusion, did they? Were they wrinkled and old? Did they? Did the significator look like that?
I am Ra. The significator of mind, body, or spirit is a portion of the archetypical mind and looks as each envisions such to appear. The body of a mind/body/spirit before veiling showed all the signs of aging which acquaint you now with the process leading to the removal from third density incarnation of the mind/body/spirit complex. It is well to recall that the difference betwixt mind/body/spirits and mind/body/spirit complexes is a forgetting within the deeper mind. Physical appearances and surface and instinctual activities are much the same.
105.20 Questioner. Then I was wondering the root reason for the change in appearance that we see as the aging process. I am trying to uncover a basic philosophical premise here that I may be shooting in the dark at and not questioning on correctly. But I'm trying to get at the reason behind the design of this change in appearance, when it seems to me that it was just as possible for the mind/body/spirit or mind/body/spirit complex just to simply look the same throughout an incarnation. Could Ra explain the reason for this change?
I am Ra. When the discipline of the personality has led the mind/body/spirit complex into the fifth and especially the sixth level of study, it is no longer necessary to build destruction of the physical vehicle into its design, for the spirit complex is so experienced as a shuttle that it is aware when the appropriate degree of intensity of learning and increment of lesson has been achieved. Within third density, not to build into the physical vehicle its ending would be counterproductive to the mind/body/spirit complexes therein residing, for within the illusion it seems more lovely to be within the illusion than to drop the garment which has carried the mind/body/spirit complex and move on.
105.21 Questioner. I see then that it is, shall we say, when an individual reaches a very old age, then it becomes apparent to him in third density that he's worn out. Therefore, he's not attached to this vehicle as firmly with a desire to stay in it as he would be with a good-looking, well-functioning one. Now, after the veil, the body is definitely an athanor for the mind. Prior to the veiling, did the body serve as an athanor for the mind at all?
I am Ra. Yes.
You may ask one more full query. 105.22 Questioner. I believe that I should ask at this time, is there anything that we can do to make the instrument more comfortable or improve the contact? Since last session, I wasn't able to get that in, and I think it's important.
I am Ra. We find the weariness of the group well balanced by its harmony. That weariness shall continue in any future circumstance during your incarnations. Therefore look you to your love and thanksgiving for each other and join always in fellowship, correcting each broken strand of that affection with patience, comfort, and quietness. We find all meticulously observed in the alignments and give you these words only as reminder. All that can be done for the instrument seems done with an whole heart, and the instrument itself is working in the indigo ray with perseverance. We have previously mentioned some temporary measures for the instrument. If these are adopted, additional liquids shall be imbibed by the instrument and by the questioner, whose bond with the instrument is such that each difficulty for one is the same in sympathy for the other. I am Ra. I leave you rejoicing merrily in the love and the light, the power and the peace of the one infinite Creator. Adonai.